Okay, it's 10:05. I think we've got everybody that we're going to get. And if anybody comes in late, they can just catch themselves up. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your days to come to this teleconference and share your ideas. My name is Steve Wangle. I am the parent of a young man with autism and the immediate past president of the Lynbrook Chamber of Commerce. You'll see over the next couple of minutes how those two dynamics come into play and why we convene this meeting today. I would like to make a huge thank you to Mark and John Cronin. It was with Mark's assistance that I was able to get in touch with all of you, and without his help, I'd be talking to myself today. I'd like to, the purpose of the meeting is to join all of the stakeholders that have anything to do with this. So we're talking about service providers, chambers of commerce, individual businesses, to be able to join together and create some type of a sustainable means for referring meaningful work to people in the intellectual and developmental disabilities community. I'd like to start off with some introductions. I'm going to call you off so that we don't get too out of whack here. Just let us know who you are, what your affiliation, what your business affiliation is, and what your stake is in this. So I'm going to start with Julie.
Julie Mocaseller. I'm past president of the Nassau Council of Chambers of Commerce, currently president of the Elmont Chamber of Commerce, past president of the Merrick Chamber of Commerce, member of the West Islip Chamber of Commerce, which leads me to introducing town councilman for the town of Islip, Jim O'Connor, and his aide. She's going to be, I think, here too. And I have an autistic grandson. I'm a resident of West Islip, love living here, and want to see things better so that by the time he needs a job, we've got sustainable, available jobs for him.
Amen. Wendy, please.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for the invite as well. I'm a job development coordinator. My team is here, Sherry and Dante from DDI, Developmental Disabilities Institute. I'm a job development coordinator. I've been with DDI 10 years. I've been in the field over 20, and I find and secure employment for individuals all over Eastern and Western Suffolk, as well as assessing them and giving them the tools to be successful on the interviews to land those jobs. And then I also do some networking here and there as much as I'm able to. So thank
Great,
you.
Wendy. Thank you very much, and thank you to your team. Jenny? Unmute, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jenny Kellerman. I'm the job developer for ACLD. We serve people that live in both Nassau and Suffolk. So my job is to assist the people that are seeking jobs with all aspects of job development, everything from researching available jobs to creating a resume, filling out applications, learning interview skills, accompanying the people that I support on their job interviews. I advocate for them with potential employers. Yeah, so that's my role with ACLD, and I'm really looking forward to networking with all of you. We have lots of people in Nassau County and Suffolk, as I said, who are looking for jobs. So I hope that we can all collaborate together. Thanks.
Thank you. The name on your screen says John, but I think it's James.
No, it's Dennis. Yeah, we both share the same computer. But anyway, my name is Dennis Carroll. I'm the program lead at AHRC Suffolk, and we have two programs running side by side. One community vocational, and the object of that program is to get our individuals out into the community on a non-paid volunteer basis. And the other program that runs alongside of mine is what we call supported works. And that one is for the individuals who are capable to get out into the paid workplace in the community. And I found out recently, with a lot of involvement with Hop Hog Industrial Association and other networking groups, there's a lot of opportunities out there. COVID, of course, is, slowing things down. And I was looking forward to this meeting because I'm sort of new in the field, and I wanted to meet many of you as knowledgeable professionals to see if I could help my individuals.
Great, Dennis. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Lloyd?
Yes, hi. My name is Lloyd Crine. My company is crine.com. We're a web development firm here on Long Island. I'm a member of the Limbrook Chamber as well on the board. I'm here to listen and be a resource for technical questions and marketing questions as they come up. And hopefully I can provide some assistance and guidance and help as needed.
Great, thank you. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Mikowski from UCP Long Island. It's exciting to see everyone on board because I can speak for myself. We have contacts with every single person on board. So I'm the assistant director. I oversee all of our vocational programs. We have both intensive services for those individuals who require a little more support just to develop a vocational goal, assess their strengths and weaknesses, and acclimate to the work environment. But then we also do job placement and supported employment. And we have a pilot program. It's in the works for about 2 years now, but we're connecting with school districts. So we get a large portion of students when about 2 years prior to graduation, we facilitate the pre-employment transition services and get them set up with OPWDD to allow for resources following graduation. So we do a little bit of everything over here, and I'm excited to connect with everyone.
Great, thank you for attending. Corey?
Morning, everybody. My name is Corey Hirsch. I am the current president of the Limbrook Chamber of Commerce. And I'm really glad to see this meeting come together. You know, Steve and I looked at each other. I'm sure he's going to talk a little bit about, you know, how we came to this, and you guys got letters from us, but you know, we looked at each other after we heard Mark and John speak at the Nassau Council of Chambers breakfast. And we said, you know what, there's a real opportunity for us to really get involved, help our businesses and help this community. So I'm really excited to be here. And just, you know, thank you, Steve, for, you know, really taking this, spearheading this. Thank you to Mark for, you know, all your help and, you know, providing us and putting us in contact with all of your contacts. And I'm really excited to this happen. You know, personally, I'm a real estate broker and I own a property management firm at Limbrook. So
Thank you for coming, Corey, and thank you for supporting this with the Limbrook Chamber. Mark?
Okay, I'm one of the knuckleheads with my son John running John's Crazy Socks. But much of our mission is not only creating jobs for people with different abilities, but showing what they can do. So we're really grateful, Steve, that you had this idea, Steve and Corey, to come and run and bring this together. We're always sharing that it's good business hiring people with different abilities, particularly when you hear so many employers say they can't find enough good workers. I'll share in the chat, John and I recently recorded our second TEDx talk entitled, hiring people with different abilities is not altruism, it's good business. And we make a business case for hiring people with different abilities. So thank you for doing this and for including us in it.
Thank you. And listen, Mark, thank you for everything that you do for our community. Maritza?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maritza Archer. I oversee supported employment at DDI. We have 2 programs, supported employment, extended and intensive services through OPWDD, and we also support access via our individuals. I oversee job coaching and ensure that the guys have the support that they need to increase their independence and also create, you know, that liaison relationship between the employer and the individuals and ourselves.
Great, thank you very much. Sherry?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Sherry McKeown. I'm the Administrative Director here at Developmental Disabilities Institute. So you've already met a couple members of my team who are here. So I just oversee all of the day programs, which include day habilitation, the vocational services, as Wendy mentioned earlier. And we also do respite services for individuals. I've been in the field for just about 35 years now. So I'm very excited to be a part of this group because I think it's a new approach to a longstanding problem. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here and work with everyone.
And thank you for making the time, Sherry. Anita?
I needed to build from family residences and what as free. We have a large day service program across Long Island and into Queens. We also offer the full spectrum of employment service. Well, I have had the opportunity to Mark and John in the past and seeing their warehouse. And if they're part of it, we want to be part of it. So Free's definitely excited about this.
Great, thank you. Thank you for attending. Dante? Mic doesn't seem to be working, Dante. Not at all. Okay, tell you what, we'll come back to you. Krupa?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Krupa Lauricella. I am the legislative aide to the one and only ISO Town Councilman Jim O'Connor, and I help Councilman O'Connor as he creates awareness and makes connections for individuals with disabilities in the town of Islip and beyond.
Great, thank you very much. Nikisha?
Hi, good morning. My name is Nikisha Andrews. I'm the Employment Service Manager for Family Residences. And I currently oversee supported employment services, including all intensive for pathways to employment, in which we establish vocational goals, suitable vocational goals, and provide additional training for our participants with disabilities. And then I also oversee ETP as well, and that is more focused towards individuals with disabilities that have do have some work experience, but do need fine tuning, fine training, intensive training, and then can lead to one day being independent in the community. I also oversee, we do have also conserving our mental health community career opportunity program, in which we provide pre-vocational training, immediate pre-vocational training, employment services. That's more serving Suffolk County, and also additional job coaching, you know, anything concerning employment services. But overall, we serve Nassau Suffolk with our supported employment and intensive services for participants in Long Island.
Okay, thank you. Belinda?
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I am the president of the Hempstead Chamber of Commerce and a board member for Nassau Council Chamber. I'm actually really excited to be able to get more information because I own a home care agency and also a youth nonprofit. And when you're your own HR, your office, you know, I can always use office help, you know, and I think this would be great to have them do that. And it came to mind also because I was going to employ my mom, because my mom suffered for schizophrenia. Is not, you know, she's functional, but it's just a fear of going out, you know, with, you know, being around a bunch of people. So she can work from home or whatever, things like that. And then now she has a second disability because she's losing hearing in one of her ears. So, you know, this is a great opportunity, you know, for me to help people in my own family and in the community, you know, to get jobs and help them become more independent. So I'm here to, you know, assist anyone, and I'm hoping to get information to help this along so we can give it back to the community and, you know, and help our chambers, my chamber as well, our chamber members. So.
Thank you. Eric?
Hi, my name is Eric Homberger. I'm the Assistant Director of Employment Services for LifeSwork. So we serve Eastern Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk County. We have a variety of services, including supported employment, both intensive and extended. We do have a Suffolk County pre-voc program, and we are looking to expand and create a Nassau pre-voc program in the very near future. And we also offer access via our services. So in my role, I oversee all the job coaches and employment specialists. as well as my specialty is creating employer partnerships and job development. So creating new job opportunities and kind of doing some job splicing and finding different and unique ways to find individuals employment opportunities.
Great, thank you for joining us. Lara?
Hi, I'm Lara Miller. I'm with ACLD. I know some of you guys. Hi. I'm Jenny's supervisor, who went earlier. I'm a vocational coordinator, so we work with OPWDD, access, intensive services, extended services, job development, job coaching, all that stuff. I think I think Mark, maybe one of the first placements was with us, Alyssa Bronchick, at your site. We did evaluations with you guys. We still do. We've had a very long relationship with John's Crazy Socks for quite some time. So this is very exciting for all of us.
Okay, thank you. Norma Jean?
Hi guys, my name is Norma Jean. So I direct employment services at the Nicholas Center in Port Washington. And that includes both intensive and extended STEM, pathways to employment as well, the ETP program. And I'm actually really excited to be having this conversation because I think that it can definitely be a challenge sometimes navigating these conversations with businesses, especially when you're going into more corporate businesses and you can't have this conversation directly with the owner and you're talking through a slew of different people who might have some biases and not really understanding of the types of services that we provide and the abilities of the people that we support. So I think that this is really awesome. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us. Frank?
Hi, everyone. Frank Camarano, President of the Nassau Council of Chambers. I want to thank Corey and Steve for doing this. When I heard about it, I thought, I knew it was a fantastic idea. We'll get through this and we'll take it countywide, right, guys? I am not at all surprised that a chamber, to its extension, of course, a chamber, Lynbrook Chamber, would be behind such a fantastic program, to build up. So I want to thank you both for that. And we're behind you 1000%. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for the support. Councilman?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks. I was contacted yesterday by Julie because as a West Islip resident, she had seen some of the stuff that we've been doing in the town of Islip. So first and foremost, I'm the father of 3 children. My middle child, Matthew, is severely autistic, receives his day habilitation service from ACLD. So thanks to the folks from ACLD on the call. Went through his childhood program through DDI. Thanks to the folks from DDI. It's really great to see so many of the agencies here on the call. When I was elected back in 2017, the town of Islip had a disability advisory committee, but it was dormant and it really had not been active for years, mostly because of some dysfunction within the committee. The supervisor saw me during the campaign and saw how active and engaged I was in the community with my son and asked me if I would chair up the town of Islip's Disability Advisory Committee. We've since renamed it the Disability Advisory Board. We have 14 community members with all different nexuses to the disabled community who serve on the committee. One of the things that we've been trying to do is to create awareness. We have a public information television station in Islip called Islip Television. We put together a series for employing people with disabilities. The first one of the series included the folks from Access VR. The second one included my friend Sarah, who's on the call from UCP. And then the third one was with our dear friends Mark and John from John's Crazy Socks, where the supervisor and I sat and interviewed people really to raise awareness for the idea that there are these chambers within our community, these small businesses within our community. There is opportunity out there to employ people with disabilities. We've been promoting that agenda on our level. And Julie asked if I'd come on the call and just talk a little bit about what we've been doing, and I'm happy to do it. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us. Dante, I definitely don't want to leave you out. Have you resolved your microphone issue? It appears you have not. We're all going to have to get really good about reading lips.
Dante sent a message in the chat for you.
Up, there we go. Thank you. Okay. The professionals that are here, all of the agency folks, kind of know this already, but I want to read just a couple of facts for the lay people, for the business people. An interesting statistic that's very recent. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, in the 12 months ending December 2021, the unemployment rate among people ages 16 to 64 with developmental disabilities was 10.8%, as opposed to 5.2% for the same age group with no disabilities. The intellectual and developmental disabilities community are the demographic with the highest unemployment rate. And that's kind of a scary thought. COVID-caused supply chain crisis has created a shortage of workers to fill positions in the hospitality, service, and manufacturing industries. Many of these vacancies can be filled by qualified candidates in the intellectual and developmental disabilities community. Chambers of Commerce have a responsibility to their communities and the businesses that they serve. Their participation in resolving the unemployment issues would be a big leap in helping both businesses and communities that they serve. I just wanted to get that across because I think what we've got is that matrix here. What I am interested in is I want to hear from some of the agencies that provide employment services, what you do, how you cultivate your business openings, the job openings. Anybody want to jump in there? Sarah, go ahead.
It's an interesting time in employment because we do see the families and the individuals we work with will always come to me and they say, there's now hiring signs everywhere. It won't take too long to get a job. And I think the issue that we're having is businesses have in their mind the type of employee that they want. And it takes a little negotiation to bring the strengths and the qualities and the assets of our individuals to meet those criteria. So I think what myself and my staff have been doing is I send them out. I say, you're not even going to be a job developer right now. You're going to make your presence known in the community as a patron. And then we highlight that the businesses can tap this untapped talent pool. And we start by, we try to arrange, especially with the new contacts, just taking some of our clients in and saying, we just want you to meet our clients, because unfortunately the stigma is still there of what individuals with disabilities are like. I mean, people have in their mind this picture, this stereotype picture. And once they see our clients in action of what they can do, then they're more open and they say, oh my gosh, we'll give them a job right away. But I think it's just making your presence known in your local community and then starting just that exposure piece for the employers. And I found in our experience, COVID has forced so many employers to make accommodations for the general workforce that now when you start the accommodation conversation, something such as a flexible schedule or set hours to accommodate transportation, they don't mind. They say we have made, many more accommodations during the world of COVID. So I think those are my kind of tips of the trade that I use with my staff, making your presence known and then just that exposure piece.
Okay, so first of all, I got to tell you, during what you were saying, I saw about 4 or 5 heads nodding in agreement vehemently. So I guess everybody is on board with that. So what I'm kind of hearing is that there's a preconceived notion among employers about what they want that candidate to look like. And I don't mean a physical appearance, but just in terms of who they are. And we need to get some education out there in order to blow out those notions and have people understand that these are good, loyal, employable, skilled people. And there shouldn't be this fear of hiring, I'll throw this in air quotes, hiring the handicapped. Anybody else? I saw one of the people I saw nodding her head the most was Norma Jean. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely with that stigma. I actually had a conversation with a business 2 days ago and I was inquiring to see if a position was still available for one of my clients that I thought she would be more than qualified for. And the gentleman was very kind. He was, oh my goodness, yes, it's available. Come on down and fill out an application. I was like, this is great. I'm actually inquiring, for a client. This is what I do. And I started to describe her, and he cut me off, and he just kept saying, that's not the type of thing that we do here. And I said, I understand maybe you've had a negative experience with maybe job coaches in the past. I know that that's a common theme as well. And I said, I would be happy to hear about your experience, and maybe I could tell you about some of, the different things that we do. And he was just kept saying, this is not something we do here. We don't hire on that level. And which, he was trying to politely say, we don't hire people with IDD, which I think it's very troubling when, like I said, you're trying to help clients gain these opportunities at more corporate businesses, because you don't always get to speak with the owner directly. I feel like for our agency in particular, we've had more success with small local businesses where you walk in the door and you have a really good chance of seeing the person who owns the business right there behind the counter. And they tend to be a lot more open, especially when you talk about some of the benefits the tax benefits that there are for businesses, for businesses who hire people with special needs. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the ETP program. I know a couple people here had mentioned it, but with the ETP program, OPWDD actually offers to put an employee on their payroll for a time that is really based on that individual and their success, to kind of show the business, hey, give us a chance at no cost to you to show you that this person can do this job. And then once the individual meets the job's kind of expectations, then they're placed on the business's payroll. So that's kind of been our experience on our end.
Okay, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
If I could mention something, my background primarily is from the business community, and I wholeheartedly agree with the comments that have been made so far. And one of the approaches that I found with the business background is in doing network in the industrial community. I'm able to get appointments with the corporate leaders, go in and ask them to take me on a tour through their business. And in doing so, I'm able to spot opportunities and match them up with the capabilities of our individuals. And at that point in time, as a businessman, explaining to them how, as John from Crazy Socks has said, it's really not altruism, it's good business. So the networking approach and trying to get to the corporate leaders and having them sort of walk you through the businesses, it's quite easy to spot opportunities suited for our people. And that's an approach that's worked, fairly well for us. Obviously, we're limited, as everybody else is, with the COVID situation. But somebody made a very good point about business leaders have become used to making accommodations. So that's easing up a little bit. So that's just all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for everybody. Because it looks like we've got our first speed bump that we need to get over. And if you had unlimited manpower and unlimited funds, how would you get the word out to employers that we have people that can fill positions in a meaningful way?
Hey, Steve, it's Wendy. Can I jump in? Hi,
Yeah,
I had my
absolutely.
hands up. I had my hands up on a couple of things just for real quick. But I will tell you, some of the challenges, one of the challenges I didn't hear about employing our individuals. Well, first I wanted to say that I feel COVID, I have a different spin on it, right? I think COVID's opened up a lot more jobs than we had before in terms of the cleaning. I know that job placements aren't all cleaning, but as far as there being a need for like, let's say for instance, wiping down the carts, wiping down, like maintenance and cleaning has really revved up a lot. So there's more of a need for that. So I find that in the beginning of COVID, there was a lot of need for that. Like there were never jobs where you're wiping down the carts and you're counting how many people are in the store with the counter. And those are some jobs that, that I was able to find. Also, I want to say transportation sometimes is an issue because the employers are looking for somebody later in the day, and SCAT, which is one of the transportation systems that a lot of us use, I believe, they only run up until 8 o'clock at night, or 8:30, I believe. But, usually they like to cut it off around 8 because this way, 8:30 is like the end time. And they run from 6 to 8. A lot of these employers need employers in the evening. So that cuts them out completely because they don't have the transportation. So there's a real need for that big time for many, many years, not just now. And as far as showing what our guys can do with special needs, if you can get an individual in the door to show that employer what they can do, to do a tryout, do a practice. I know it's insurance, blah, blah, blah. You always hear that. But if you can get over that hurdle and you can sell that employer, let me just come for an hour. Let me just see what he can do. I just want to try, test out their skills. Sometimes as a job developer, you'll find that they can do certain things really well that you didn't know they could do, that they didn't know that they could do. And oftentimes an employer's recognized an individual that I brought in to practice, and they've offered them a job on the spot or down the road. So that's a great way. So I kind of forgot what your question was, but I had all these things I wanted to get out. So I'm sorry, but there's, but transportation is like, the hours are always a key, and sometimes the location, depending on where the job is located. But the hours, the employer needs what the employer needs, right? And the individual might want to do it, but if they can't get there, yeah.
Let me, Steve, if I could pick up a little bit on what Wendy, what Sarah were talking about. We're in a slightly different position. I mean, we're both an employer, but we're always talking to other employers about the benefits. I think it's the old kind of storytelling motif of show, don't tell. And employers, let's call it as it is. There's ignorance that rises to fear that leads to prejudices. And we have that, unfortunately, in lots of different areas in our culture, but specifically working with people with intellectual disabilities. There's this fear and apprehension. I've sat on panels with Fortune 500 companies, and I've listened to them talk about all of the resources it took, all of what they've committed, and this is so important, and we've hired people and this and that, and they've hired exactly one summer intern. And, that's part of, I know what we try to do is, we got no special training, we have no special programs, no government support. We just hire people that can do the job. But it's not, when you ask if you had all the money in the world, what would you do? I don't think that's going to change it. That what people have to see, it's like we love having employers come in here and see people producing and working, and that opens their eyes to say, oh, that now I can see. But before that, it's fear and apprehension, and at most, it's a charitable notion instead of the good business practice. I am optimistic that the labor shortage is going to force employers to change. Can't find workers, they're going to have to go and find other workers. And Steve, you mentioned those employment statistics. They only scrape the surface, right? That's talking about people that the Bureau of Labor Statistics is counting as looking for work. But in fact, 80% of people with disability are not employed. Most of them are clearly not being counted in those statistics.
I think you're absolutely right. All right, so before we can do anything else, and John, you used an interesting word that the labor shortage would force employers into a position where they're going to take a better look at people in the IDD community. I have a feeling that over the course of time, if we're successful in getting them over that hump, forced is going to be substituted by words like will easily adapt to, will happily look at. So it sounds like there's a big information and an understanding gap that we need to close so that employers understand these are good employable people. I think the chambers of commerce are a good matrix for that because they represent a great cross-section of businesses. I mean, obviously nationwide, but more specifically in Nassau and Suffolk County. So that's something that one of my takeaways from this is I want to go back and work with our chamber and the Nassau Council and the other chambers that are members of that in order to put together some type of information that we can distribute to our chambers to let them know that there is a resource of good employable people that they just don't know exists. So I'm sure that Frank and Julie, I'm absolutely sure that you'd be willing to work on that with us. And I'd love to get that out all over the counties. Yes.
If I could say something, I think what throughout this conversation, and I know the name of all of our kind of committees is like focus on disability, right? Just in this field, we use that term. Sometimes what I do, and I don't know if the businessman on the call could speak to this, but I sometimes use words like the diverse workforce or inclusion or accessibility, because that's really what we're bringing to the table. And when I meet with families or clients, I say, disability is only one part of this candidate's, being. Like, they are a young professional graduate. Like, let's focus on those qualities. And how are we going to build an inclusive workforce and diversity? Because I think sometimes the disability topic just takes these people down this convoluted path. And it's really just about getting our clients into the workforce and making it a great environment for everyone, that universal demand.
I think
if I could just pick up on that, I think that's an excellent point. And one of the things that in the business community that I found out works well is not to really talk about the disabilities, but more about the abilities. And in doing so, bringing up concrete examples of what kind of work that our people are able to do, and getting testimonials from people that we have done work with in the past, actually showing the different types of either assembly work or production or distribution or whatever it might be, but showing a businessman hard facts and examples of how our people can be a real boon to the workforce.
So as the chamber president, I don't have a tremendous amount of insight into the bigger corporate settings, and I don't have a huge insight into the disability community either. But what I do know is that when I go and talk to businesses, everything from daycares to laundromats to restaurants to the supermarket, everyone is telling me, I can't get people to work. I'm looking for people to work. I can't get people to work. And I think as a chamber, president, I go to them and say, if I could go to them and say, I have resources for you. They may not be what you're traditionally thinking about, but I can give you 4 different people that you can call who will get you people who can do this job. And you know what? They may be better than the people you have. I personally have a restaurant background. I worked in the restaurant business all throughout high school, all throughout college, and a couple years afterwards running restaurants. And, some of the best employees that I've ever worked with, one of my favorite, who I still keep in contact with, was a busboy, and me and him would work the back room every Saturday night. And he was, pretty severely autistic, couldn't really have any guest interaction, but when it came to being efficient and knowing, when to step in and when to take a step back, it was amazing. And, I think we have to be able to go and have these one-on-one conversations with these business owners. And it does take some convincing sometimes, because there are preconceived prejudices and preconceived, how can someone with a disability do a job, But, I think if they have that advocacy on, a chamber going to them and saying, this is an option, give it a shot. And we can say there's tax benefits, and we can, present them with all these options they have and the benefits they have to them, even if it's not, we say to them, it's good business. And they may say, yeah, but I have to deal with this and that. But if I can say to them, listen, there are benefits and you don't have to pay for it up front, and there's these other programs that we can be involved in, how can a business owner say no to that? So I think, I need to get more of an education on that, but I think that for me as a bystander, as a business person, that's the first thing that sticks out to me. Oh my God, I can get this for nothing, to start out with, and I know there's probably, caveats and things involved with that, but, for me as a business person, that's the first thing that's very appealing.
Steve, if I can just interject a minute.
Sure.
The reluctance on the behalf of a small business owner is not so much can the person do the job, but can the person do the job effectively, and not wanting to insult that person if they do come on the job, even temporarily. But I think to address one of the issues that Norma brought up is having that person come in and see if they can do the job. Now, on behalf of the small business owner, it takes time and patience. But if there is a job coach who comes in with that person who can further extend the training of that person, they may be a very valuable employee. But on behalf of the business owner, there is some reluctance to not have that person be upset if they don't get the job. You don't want to insult them.
Sure.
So that is also another issue that a small business owner may have. It's not so much that they don't want to hire them. They don't want to feel uncomfortable if that isn't the right person for the job, and have them feel upset that they didn't have the hope of the job.
Okay.
I think we have to start with on the macro level, is like some of these success stories. Let's do something with that either on YouTube or in a flyer, and talk about some of the success stories on the macro level. And then when we get to the individual cases and the individual employment opportunities, is then talk about the programs that are out there, the ETP programs, supportive employment, with the job coaching, what that means, so that potential employers feel comfortable in taking that person in and knowing what will be there as well. All that education has to go with it.
Okay. Good point.
Steve, can I just say something really quick?
Okay, Belinda, I'm sorry. I'm going to put you on hold for 1 second. Maritza, you had your hand up?
Yes, I just wanted to jump into what Julie was saying. It's not only the fact that they have the fear to communicate with and disappointing, the employee. I think it's also the fact that a lot of employers are not well-versed into the needs of the guys as much as we are. So they don't know how and to go about, making constructive criticism, which is why the importance of the job coach to do their best to also do kind of like a training with the employer in order to empower them to understand that, you can do the same way that you would treat another employee is what you need to do as well for the individuals. A lot of times they call us in and they want us as the support person to convey the concerns. And we usually try to empower them and say, you need to do this. We'll be there to support the person, but they need to hear it from you. We don't want our guys to be treated any differently than any other employee. And I think that that's one of the issues, is that a lot of employers don't know how to communicate with our guys and how to support them.
Okay. Belinda, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything everyone was saying about the wording, changing the wording. And I was going to say on a higher level, state level and a local level, we can, I don't know how we're going to get it to them, but, the commercials, as much as they promote COVID, like a million times a day, or anything that's going on, they put it out so many times a day. Maybe there should be, commercials that's coming out, and just promoting the benefits to market to the employers to say, hey, if you you're missing, low on employees or whatever the case may be, this is an option here. And, you give a commercial in the background to it. The other option is I noticed with job fairs, it's not put out there to where, okay, we have this group of, people that can work, whatever the case may be. So also that could be an option too, because I know Nassau County used to have the, not Nassau, at the Coliseum, I believe they used to have these big old job fairs. but there was never an advertisement saying, hey, we hire, people with disabilities, things like that. It wasn't marketed like at those job fairs on that level. Even in the college and high school job fairs that they have, it's not marketed at all either. So because at my open house that I'm going to have for my home care, that was one of the things that I was going to have my marketing guy put out there, that this is we hired this group, just make them feel like everybody inclusive. But so I think even on the county level, we can get the county when they have their job fair to add that. That's just an option to do it that way.
Okay. Norma Jean, I see you had your hand up. Go ahead.
I feel like too, it would be helpful if there were, I agree with you with having the information and the resources kind of out there. There's apps and all different types of hiring websites out there, like Indeed and Glassdoor, so forth and so on. I wonder whether this was something that we were able to somehow implement within those websites, or even if we in some regard had our own, or maybe off of the Chamber of Commerce website, there's a link of some sort where businesses and agencies like ours can connect, and businesses can post the types of positions that they're hiring for, and agencies can help their clients with posting their resumes, their cover letters. I think having a platform too where clients can feel that they can be more open with disclosing their disability if they so choose, and it not being something that is going to be used against them within that process. Or, I think if a employer looks at a resume and they notice that someone's experience is primarily only volunteer, they might have a few thoughts about that and not see why for this person this is actually extremely valuable, and it does not mean anything negative against what their abilities are. I think that would be amazing. And for agencies as well, to even have businesses kind of advertise maybe some of the services that they're open to providing, whether it be we're open to work tryouts, we're open to ETP, we're open to so forth and so on, so that agencies can say, okay, these are some of the businesses that we can look at, not even just for employment itself, but even for those people who are still trying to explore what employment is and learning about where their interests are. So I think if there's a platform like that we could kind of create, I think that would be amazing.
Steve, let me pick up on what Norma Jean was saying. It strikes me that, we're now looking at, you started this initiative, so Tag, you're it, that we're looking to the chamber, really, I think, to do two things. One, how can we demonstrate and show to your chamber members that this works? Because it's demonstrating and letting them see that will help overcome their fear and apprehension and let them know what's possible. And then the second part of that is exactly what Norma Jean was saying. Once it becomes a good idea for them, then how can we connect them to agencies and job coaches to be able to say, here's now some potential employees for you to hire?
I'd like to speak on that for a second, if it's all right. So, the reason Steve and I looked at each other and said, let's try to get something off the ground here, was because, Mark, we heard your story, your and John's story, and I think that's the most valuable thing. Us as a chamber, we don't have a big production budget and all kinds of things, so for us to be able to take a story like yours and post that YouTube story, from one of your news stories, on our page, and other stories that are out there, I think people at least opens their eyes and they see it on our Facebook page and they say, I didn't even think about that. In terms of creating an Indeed or a monster.com type of website, I think that involves a tremendous amount of administration. It involves a lot of back office stuff. I don't know as a chamber how feasible that is. What I do think is feasible was, if we could have a list of these are the people that you talk to, if you're looking for someone in this community, if you're looking, for information about ETP, if you're looking for information about volunteer opportunities or work tryouts, or, these are the people you can talk to. And this is a list of links of where to go, with stories about where this has worked and about initiatives. I think for us, we're more going to be an information gathering source and a way that, Vincent Pizzeria down the block from us needs to hire someone, and they come to the chamber website for information, and they can click on a link to us that gives them, a wealth of information with resources about different stories of where this worked in the past and who to contact at different agencies, who to contact at DDI, who to contact at UCP, who to contact at these different agencies where if they want to get involved, they can. So I think on our front, what we can really do more than anything is the education to show our member businesses that this is a viable option. This is, more than a viable option. This is something that can help your business.
Corey, let me make a suggestion, picking up on that. Just something to consider. One, perhaps, Corey, you and Steve for your chamber could hold, I don't know what you call it, a webinar or an online conference where we get a handful of employers to show this is who we've hired and this is what we're doing. So it's not the agencies, and you guys tell me if you've got other views, but it's going to Norma Jean or Lara or Wendy and say, okay, let's get some of the employers that are employing people that you've placed and have them either show through video or just some presentation. Hey, we've hired these people. This is what they do. This is why it's good for our business, so that your members can see the benefits. And then you're right, you don't have to redo what Indeed or ZipRecruiter does, but then you could provide a list with contacts with the different agencies and job developers as to, and if you're ready to hire people, here's who you can talk to.
I 100%. I think showing people success stories and showing them that this is a viable option is the biggest challenge that I have. And that's really where I foresee, a chamber being able to help, because we have, I can walk into any store on Atlantic Avenue, on our main street and go talk to the business owner and say to them, I know you're hiring, go to our website. There's a bunch of success stories. This is an option, and how we phrase it to them. And, if I go in there as an advocate or my board member goes in there as an advocate and we can show them success stories, I think that's what a business owner needs to see, to show that this has worked for other people and this can work for me.
I think also looking at the patch.com, trying to get a spot on, maybe as a highlight radio. I think that would also help too, if the chamber could help the nonprofits break into those areas and do highlights and, case studies too on people that have been successful. That could be helpful too.
Well, I think the key there, Corey, is having not the agencies say this is why we think it's good, but other businesses share exactly what you called it, success stories.
It's by us going in there and saying, we think this is a good idea. As someone who, me, I'm around the neighborhood, you know who I am, my family, I'm telling you this is a good idea. I think a lot of our chamber members look at us, in a position of trust, that they trust that we have their best interest in mind. And I think if we can go in there and say, get them to at least listen enough to be able to look at the resources we have and look at these interviews that we've done, and whatever it evolves into, that carries a lot of weight.
Okay, Corey, I'm going to follow up on that. And Councilman, I do see your hand up, but I just want to push a little further information into that. In talking to some of the business owners since we conceived this project, a lot of them have already hired folks with disabilities. So we can sort of use them as a testimonial. And one of the things that Corey and I have been talking about, unfortunately it was put off because of COVID, but in June, we're going to be doing a large installation committee and honoring several people from the community. One of the things that we had a discussion about was to put one or two people there with intellectual disabilities to serve and to work along with the caterer as a demonstration to everybody that comes that this is absolutely a viable and desirable alternative to not being able to hire. Councilman, I'm sorry, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to bootstrap on a lot of what has already been said by both Mark and Corey. What we have done from our perspective, and it's again 40,000 foot, but we have a fairly large platform, is we've used the town's social media platform, we've used my own social media platform, and we've used the town's television brand that we have to get this message out there. And I think that's helpful in that it's educational and it opens eyes. I think what our plan is to do, just from our perspective, is to now drill down into that and bring that to the local chambers and bring folks like Mark and John and like Sarah, who we've had on our programs, introduce them into the local chambers to say, hey, listen, you may have seen the program, but here are the folks and you can talk to them. The other thing I wanted to say is, I think anecdotes and stories and testimonials work. And I can say that from a personal perspective. My son is severely nonverbal. He doesn't demonstrate any terrible behaviors, but with a job coach, he proved to be a really great employee when he was being trained in the educational setting. In other words, he would go to a gym and he would fold towels. He would clean equipment. He would go to the Applebee's right next door to his school, and he would clean the tables and set the caddies and do those things. When given direction, my son can do things over and over again. So he might not look on appearance sake, because he's completely nonverbal, to be a great candidate, but people are employable. They do have skills. They can have value in our community. And when you tell these stories and you offer these testimonials, you open eyes and you say, hey, I have a small gym. Maybe somebody could do that for me. And again, I think some of the folks from the agencies have said it as well. It's not always about the money. And I think this is something that needs to, the story that needs to be told to our chamber members. It's not about the money. It's about being a good member of society and having your place look like every place else that should look like in our community, so that when your customers come in and they see you have somebody like that who you're helping, you're gonna, it's good business. And Mark has said it, and John has said it, and others have said it. It really is good business. So that was all I wanted to add. It was just kind of, as I say, bootstrapping and adding to some of the comments that were already made.
Steve, if I can just interject.
I would love you to.
Part of the reason why I invited Mark and John to speak at our breakfast, we had close to 550 guests there with honorees. And it was my purpose to show that that is a viable workforce. And I wanted that volume number of people to know that, yes, this can be done. It can be accomplished. And I was very glad that Steve and Corey kind of picked up the charge, knowing personally what we have in our backgrounds to accomplish this, and our reach to the numbers of people and through the Chambers of Commerce to get this to happen. So that was my purpose, and I'm glad that we're taking this forward. Mark, thank you for your attention to this matter. Jim, thank you for your participation. And I am so happy that this is now off the ground and the communication has already started. And Frank, I know that you're going to do whatever you can to get this to explode and get more people involved.
Sanjay?
Hey, does it work now?
Okay.
Hey! So one of the things I want to touch on, I think it's a good thing to do as well, is once you actually build relationships with employers, one of the things that we had started doing right before COVID was we would have quarterly meetings with employers who had, a good standing relationship with us, and we were able to sit down and just discuss various topics. Some of those things that you might not want to discuss with a job coach at work in live time when things are, may not be awkward, but just not the best time to talk about it, and that you may have the issue like, hey, one of the issues that we have is that the job coach never does this, or we find that, give another example, well, we can sit down in that forum and kind of talk about it and maybe discuss why those things happen, why it may be an issue ongoing and how we can fix that. So what it does is we have companies that, you know, were maybe hesitant in the beginning to even employ this population. And throughout the years, as the relationship grew, you hear the stories that, so-and-so is one of my best employers. And we, when it first started, we were uncomfortable and we didn't know how to handle certain situations, but the communication that we've had over the years has made it much easier. And what happens is that word of mouth begins to spread with other business owners and employers, that they can go and say that, you know what, I've tried it. It might be just a regular social event where they may be talking about that discussion. They say, well, I've hired someone, for the last 5 years and it didn't go well in the beginning. And, we work with this company and, they brought some individuals there and some of them didn't work out. And we talk about that too, how, we've hired people and it didn't work out and we sent someone else, but the communication throughout the process made it easy for them to say, made it easier for them to not say, you know what, I tried that, it didn't work. So those quarterly meetings that we were having, it really helped, I think, build relationships with companies. And then, the word of mouth begins there, that they can speak to other people and say that, you know what, it's worth a shot.
Okay, great. It's coming on 11 o'clock. I want to begin to wrap this up, talk about next steps in taking notes. I'm on page 3 of my notes and it's probably hard to see what this, yes.
If you give me a sec, I should have jumped in earlier.
Yeah.
Not as always, but as usual, I'll be a little bit of a devil's advocate here for a second. Okay. We're 100% for this, 1000%. Okay. But there's it's funny how Jim mentioned gyms. I used to be in the gym business until 5 minutes ago, but I'm hearing words like force, should be inclusive, need for diversity, willing to, need to do this. Jim mentioned not about the money. Jim is always about the money. I tried this recently. I think it was Dante. I tried it, worth a shot. Now, granted, these are all factual, statements, but you being kind of like from the outside looking in, most of it is negative. It's got negative connotation to the average person. Like, who wants to? You can't force somebody to do something. Trust me. You might think you can, but you can't. While the idea of being inclusive, don't tell me that I need to be. Okay, and I don't mean me personally, just the business, right? And we need to be willing to. Well, you know what? Most small businesses we're talking about, they're willing to survive. They want to do better than that. They're lucky enough to get through that one way or the other. And I'm not going to rehash the rest of the phrases, but the truth, how I see it is, at the end of the day, to make this work, we have to pull people. From the ground up, it has to be appealing. And yes, Mark and his son were at our breakfast in October, and we were awesome. And I noticed even on social media, other organizations like the LIA picked up on it, which it's awesome. But from at a day-to-day basis in a business, it's got to be like an attraction. Oh, here's an opportunity for me. They really should. I mean, look, I've hired plenty of people in my life, right? And all types. And the truth is, sometimes it's just a crapshoot. You do the best you can. But the way, it's nice to see something from the ground up that is just, it's kind of a win-win for the most part. It's how you present it, and I like the idea of like testimonials, like you guys mentioned. I think, our best shot, in my opinion, right? I mean, built into all the nuts and bolts you folks will figure out, right? Would be to try and avoid this phraseology, try and avoid this mindset of it. Like, if we really believe that this is a good thing for businesses, and by what I'm hearing today, we all do, right? I do, right? Okay, then we should go from the ground up, very, I don't know, the parcel words, I forget the phraseology, but we really watch what we say and watch what, what our branding is. Let's say, the truth is, what we're proposing is a business. This is a business that's going, even though it's a program, it's a business. So if you're going to start a new business or, continue an off, you know, a branching off of one, which is more probably like what we're doing here, then we don't want any kind of advertising or branding that's going to be negative if we can, all positive, you know. And I'm sorry if I didn't. It wasn't like, you know, I'm just like talking like brass tacks here, you know. I don't know what what your guys' feeling about that is. Wendy's raising her hand, but I said my piece. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Wait, yes, please.
One real quick, just to bring it back, language is important. I 100% agree. You really have, it's powerful. But I just wanted to say, just to bring it back to what you were saying about the testimonials, I can't emphasize from being in the trenches, employers are powerful. Employers know employers. Businessmen or businesswomen know businessmen and businesswomen. It only takes one story. It's like a ripple effect. One story, one individual that was amazing. Boom. Oh, really? Blah, blah, blah. You know, one employer knows 10, knows 20, knows 30. I mean, look at John. I mean, that's really inspirational, and it's better than listening to an agency. You know, nothing against it. Well, the agencies, including ours, but it's more powerful. It's like an individual with special needs telling another individual, look what I'm doing, you could do it too. Like a business owner that's already seen the results is so passionate, and that is so powerful. So testimonials, huge. So I just wanted to kind of echo what everybody's saying and what Dante said about the, you know, employers talking about their challenges and helping one another and building off of that. Huge. Just want to say that. Thanks.
Thank you. Jim, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Frank, just briefly. Frank, there are a lot of people on the call with a lot of different perspectives. So I come at this from many perspectives. The neon lights that you see behind me are my small business in my small law firm in Lower Manhattan, where I'm trying to keep 7 associates employed while the courts have been closed for 2.5 years. I understand what you're telling me about the needs of small business because I am a small businessman. As councilman, we serve in a part-time position in our community, serving our community as a councilman. I have a full-time job, and it's as a small business owner. I get it. When I said that it wasn't about the money, I meant that for the disabled person, it's not about the money. The job isn't about the money. I don't need your money. I don't need your chamber's members' money. I want my son to have self-worth. I want him to be able to go to a place and work there and be included and be part of his community. For me, as a parent of an autistic child, believe me when I tell you, Frank, it's not about the money. I know you're viewing it from the small business perspective, saying for every small business, it's about the money. I get that. Trust me, I get it more ways than you know.
That's my job.
Yeah,
job.
Trust me, I get it. That's why I'm such a strong advocate for our small business community in Islip, because I pull out of the driveway every morning, and that's my job too. So those are the only things I wanted to respond to. I understand that from this call, there's a lot of different people in play here. I'll tell you something that we talk about at my law firm. We talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm going to tell you why we do it. It's the same reason that we're talking about here in when we're talking about disability. It's good for business. The people who I'm trying to get business from, they don't all look like me. They sometimes look very different than I look. And so I'm going to try and build a law firm that is diverse, that is equitable, that is inclusive, so that when I'm going out there to try and get business from other members of my community, they're going to be able to associate with me. They're going to be able to feel like that I understand them and I'm from them. And it's the same thing when we're talking about employing disabled people. The disabled community is a large portion of our communities, and they should be employed and they should have opportunities. And I know I'm preaching to the converted. Everybody on here already knows that, but this is my role as the councilman chairing the town's disability advisory board, is to preach this message. And the more we talk about it, and the more we have meetings like this, the further we're going to move that ball down the field. So Frank, I thank you. I was only adding my perspective to say, perhaps when I said it wasn't about the money, it was misunderstood to you as a small business owner and the chairman of the Nassau Council of Chambers.
No, I get where you're coming from, Jim. I really do.
Okay, it's 11:15. I'd like to begin to wrap this up. Firstly, I see a lot of faces who aren't on the original invitation list, and I want to be able to make sure that I can contact all of you when we're ready to follow up on this. So I'm going to ask everybody to send me out an email with your contact information so that I can include everybody on the next conversation. My takeaway from this, and tell me if you disagree with any of this, my big takeaway on this is that there are two major jobs that need to be done. The first one is to close that gap of understanding and make sure that employers know that there is a population of good, loyal, qualified employees that they can tap on to work in their business, not as a charity or to be charitable, but because it makes good financial sense for their business. So we need to come up with some type of a program that we can get out there and educate everybody. And the second, and this is the word that I've been using all along, is to create a sustainable method of linking employers with their potential employees. So that would be kind of the second step of this. Corey and I are going to have some conversations in the background, and perhaps this we need to break into small groups, but I think we need to put together some education, figure out what avenues there are to get that out. So it would be chambers of commerce, their social media, their email lists. So I'm going to continue to work on that. Tell me what else I should be doing.
Steve, if I can just say from a behind the scenes situation, I think Corey, you and I and Frank and maybe some other members of our board to see what we can do to post on our website a link to job opportunities and put that up on our website and have some of the agencies listed here be an immediate resource. Do that, Frank. So that if there are jobs that are available immediately, they can tap into that on a immediate basis.
All right, Corey, I think we need to work on some content. We need to maybe a lunch between you, me, and Lloyd. Get this up as a featured page on our website. Start to collect information from the agencies who have people available to be hired and get it out there.
I think that's probably the path of least resistance in my mind, would be to be able to go to their businesses and have a one-page thing that if you're looking to hire, these are resources that you can hire. I think, to have that to start, I think, while we're doing the education, the other things, I think the priority one is really to create an extensive list in Nassau County, in Suffolk County. These are the people you can talk to if you're looking to, go into this, go tap into this untapped pool for you. In terms of, educating and getting the business owners, I think that's, to realize that this is an option. I think that's a longer play. And, that's going to be on an individual basis where I think it's going to be pounding the pavement. We can talk about how we do that, sending out letters and putting it on our websites and all those types of things. But I think to have a list where we can go to them and say, these are the resources we have for now, and they're going to develop, so stay in touch with us. But for now, these are the people that we can talk to if you do, see the value that we see.
All right, perfect. We can work on something, maybe a one-page flyer with the bullet points and then contact information. Norma Jean?
I think part of the education aspect too, as we said, like that can be part of what's on the website as well. Not only the different types of services that are available and that are provided for the individuals, but also I think education on what a job coach is, what the role and responsibility of a job coach is, because I think that there's some misconceptions there that some businesses have this idea, and this could be from history with maybe some not so great job coaches or just, a stigma in general that the job coach is going to be doing the job for the person. And that's not what it's supposed to be at all. We're supposed to be providing support so that the person can do the job as independently as, as possible. And I think putting some education on that is really important too, because I think even that idea of a job coach comes with some stigma as well.
Okay, great.
Steve, can I just add something, please?
100%.
I don't know if anyone saw any detailed information, but last week, the New York State Assembly was introducing a bill package that was targeted toward improving employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. They talked a lot about, the fact that they were introducing this bill package, but didn't give information specific to what was contained in that bill package. But I think if there's a way to find out what exactly New York State is looking to do, it might be helpful for this group to have that information and see if there's a way to, tie that stuff together.
All right. Well, if it's a bill that's been presented, there's a way to look it up on the Assembly website. So I'm gonna try to do that, and then what I'll do is I'll send out a link to everybody so that we can all find out what's in it.
Okay.
All right, is there anything else? I mean, this is the point at which you give me a job to do, so tell me what else we should be following up on.
Steve?
Sir?
I think if you're game for this, I'll have Liam, he does our social media.
Mm-hmm.
I'll reach out to you and we can maybe, develop a post, jazz it up a bit. You always got to jazz it up on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that we could push out, by county wide, wide with the 2 counties about the programs, have to be concise, I guess, obviously. We can also put a post up on our website. Look, we're developing drop downs and all as resources. I mentioned that in newsletters, where we don't have to, the chambers don't have to rely on newsletters for information anymore. But the social media is where it's at, ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
Are you game for something like that? I don't know where it would start or what you guys would come up with, but
Yes.
do that,
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I hear what Corey's saying. We need to push this into the business community by showing up and personally introducing it. But I think in order to broadcast this over the largest audience, I think that social media and websites might be the way to do this. Also, somebody had talked about the patch, and I think we need to, the patch is one resource. I know that Herald Communications has a lot of neighborhood newspapers within Nassau County at least, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be putting something together and getting a press release to News 12. Why shouldn't they be getting up on their stump and screaming at the top of their lungs?
Also, Newsday has been very interested in promoting employment for people with disabilities. They did a story last week as well.
Okay.
So that would definitely be another venue.
Can you get me the byline on that, Sherry? In other words, who wrote the story? This way, I mean, there's somebody who's got some interest. So rather than poking through the dark, we can go right to the person who would be most likely to pick up the ball and run with it.
Yeah, I'll send that to you, Steve.
Thank you.
If I could just mention one thing, experience has taught me that whether you use social media or whatever the brand that you're trying to push out there, one of the things a lot of people fall short on is they put out a lot of information and they neglect to put a call for action in that communication. So just, throwing that out there for consideration.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. Where I come from, we call it going for the close.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Right. Is there anything else? Norma?
I mean, I could go on and on and on. But I think something else, when you asked if we had all of the money in the world, I think money for, especially for those individuals who have like self-direction budgets and things like that, we've had some conflicts where they can't necessarily afford supported employment services within their budget, along with the other services.
Uh-oh. Norma Jean, your bandwidth just caved in. People wait for
that
her
they
to-
provide, and of course, don't want to take our. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I get cut off? I think my internet.
Yeah,
is
we
a little
lost
wonky.
about 10 seconds of you.
Oh no! Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Man, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what you heard or what you missed of what I said there.
All right, why don't we just back up and start it all over again?
Okay. I was just saying like funding in terms of the individual's budgets and accessibility to different types of services. Because for those who have self-direction budgets, sometimes there's conflict in their ability to afford supported employment along with the other services that they're receiving. And it puts a lot of families in a tough position because they don't want to jeopardize the other programs and things that their son or daughter is participating in. And I don't think that they should have to, especially when those are just as important and meaningful. And also, I think too, just the wage for job coaches and people within the field, it's very low, and it doesn't really make the type of service or job very admirable to people. And I think that if we were able to kind of heighten that, I think that that would also add a little bit, just more validity there to what the role is and the types of people who seek that type of employment opportunity. For example, I loved being a job coach and being within the field, but I began exploring, the field of ABA because just the reality of my ability to live in New York on the wages for a job coach. So I think that's something to take into consideration as well.
Okay, thank you. And it's unfortunate, but it's always something. I mean, this is a battle that we've been fighting for as long as I've been involved, is the pay scale that's mandated for people who provide direct support to these individuals. They could make the same or better living flipping burgers at McDonald's and with a whole lot less stress. So it's a factor that we need to deal with, but it's definitely a fight all unto itself. All right. Also, what I'd like to do, when everybody emails me their contact information, I want you to throw me some bullet points about the benefits of hiring IDD. Specifically, I mean, there were certain things that we could say about the people in our community, that how they're more loyal employees, they're qualified to do the job, but also the background stuff. I know that there are tax incentives and those kind of things. I want to hear about that also, so when we put together these talking points, we can make sure that we're covering all those bases and make it as attractive as possible for our guys to get hired. Okay. Any last thoughts from anybody?
I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming. This was, Steve and I looked at each other and said, "Oh, is this a pipe dream?" And I think we definitely have a little bit of a foundation to start from, and I'm really excited to see where this goes, and hopefully this really worked great, and we can expand to Nassau County and Suffolk County, and this just keeps growing. So thank you. I really genuinely want to thank everyone for being here, taking the time.
Great, absolutely. And to the service providers working in nonprofits, my son's mom is part of what you do, and I know that you're definitely not doing what you do for the money, so it's absolutely got to be for the love of our guys. And from my heart, thank you all for what you do. Unless there's anything else, I think that we've got a lot to go on. We've got a lot to follow up on. Mark, again, I can't thank you enough for helping me put this together. And I will be in touch with everybody as soon as I possibly can with some follow-up. And I'll probably have some questions for some of you as well. So unless there's anything else, thank you all for coming. And I'll be in touch soon to talk about our progress.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.